So this is what we want to go over. We're going to do some intros here. You'll learn who the other fine-looking gentlemen on the screen are with us today. We're going to go over really what we're planning, what we think we're going to be seeing here in 2021. A lot has changed in the past year, as everybody knows, with the pandemic. A lot of things have changed online, accelerated certain trends that Jason's going to get into here that we may not have struck upon until 5 years from now. So a lot of a lot of big learning curve, a lot of stuff to go over there. And then we're going to go over some of the individual strategies, what you guys can do to stay on top, to grow your sales online, and how you can get out ahead of that curve, make sure you stay ahead of that curve. So in the form of introductions, my name is Jeff Hurst. I'm the head of business development here at OuterBox. I will be your MC today. We also have Justin Smith, CEO of OuterBox. Justin started this company when he was 19 years old out of his garage, has grown it to an organization of 75 employees, and that growth is just getting started. We also have Jason Dutt here, partner at OuterBox, executive vice president, 25 years of experience building successful online companies. Great to have you here, Jason. And then last but certainly not least, Sam Russell. He's our director of paid marketing here at OuterBox. 12 years of experience. This guy is the paid marketing whiz. If anything to do with paid advertising, he's gonna be the guy you want to talk to. So you're gonna be hearing from these three today over the course of this presentation. A lot of stuff to share. So we're gonna start with Mr. Jason Dutt.
All right, everybody. Glad to be here, and I guess we're gonna dive right on in. All right. The simple reality is this. I think we all have to admit and realize that we've been living under a rock if we don't realize that the trends toward companies moving into the digital space have been growing and accelerating year over year for the last 20 years. There's just no denying it. We all know it's the future. We all know that's the direction we're going. We all know it's the direction we need to be prepared for. So if you're a CEO, a CMO, marketing director, whatever the case is, we know you're on this webinar in the first place to find out, what do I got to do to get in the game? What do I have to do to accelerate our ability to grow in the new climate and what's happening? Well, the simple reality is it's not going to get any easier, okay? It's not going to get any easier at all. When it comes to organic search, like I was talking about on the previous slide, Jeff, why don't you go ahead and scoot back for 1 second? When it comes to organic search, the competition is just continuing to increase, and it's continuing to increase in an exponential rate. We've been seeing it for years as a digital marketing agency. Every client coming across our table, that they're coming to us because they're seeing their competition continuing to increase and continuing to get more difficult as new businesses enter the space, and or they are taking it more seriously. They're getting help and they're getting serious about improving their natural organic rankings on Google. So the simple reality is, if you're not getting involved now, you're making a mistake. This isn't the kind of thing that you want to wait for a dip in the market for you to be able to buy on the dip, right? There's not gonna be a dip, all right? So if you're not bought in yet, now is the time. It's not gonna get any easier. Go ahead, next slide, please. Paid search is the same thing. So paid search being what? Your Google ads, being social media ads, that kind of area, whether it be direct buys or whether it be bids or whatever the case is. Most digital advertising, as we know, operates on a bid strategy, right? And I'm gonna let Sam talk about that more in just a little bit. But the simple reality is the more people in the marketplace, the more the price goes up. The more people in the marketplace competing, the more expensive advertising becomes. And so the idea is again, don't wait to buy it on the dip. You want to get involved now and start optimizing those campaigns and building that reputation with those vendors so that you can actually, as the market continues to move forward, that you're in the catbird seat, as it would be, for having already an optimized campaign to lower your cost of spend and maximize your return on investment. Go ahead, next slide. Everything's getting more and more competitive. So another thing that's been happening is Google's algorithm changes. Okay, so Google continues to update their algorithm for who ranks for what. And in this past year, we've seen a big change that continues the trend that Google is looking for what search intent is and looking for what those users are really looking for. Some of the old tactics that people used to use, even our agency used to use, to build in secure top rankings in Google aren't going to work the same way going in the future. It's becoming more complicated. It's becoming more social signals that are leading toward that. And you need to be able to take advantage of those different opportunities. I'm going to close with this. Like Jeff started to say, you know, the reality is as things continue to move forward, okay, and the competition becomes more difficult, it's been totally accelerated by, quite frankly, COVID. We really feel that when COVID hit, that it really accelerated all of these trends probably by a good 5 years, maybe more. What we saw happen as a digital agency is with the first couple months, of course, when COVID hit, everybody withdrew. Everybody said, whoop, okay, we got to see what's going to happen here. And then the floodgates opened because companies realized it was a wake-up call. Companies realized, oh my gosh, if we aren't well positioned online, we're going to get destroyed, whether it be from a pandemic or just be the natural trends that are happening. So the process of competition has accelerated. You need to get engaged now. Jeff, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Really appreciate that. Great information. And as we prefaced in the beginning, you know, we're going to be presenting strategies here that you really need to buy into pretty much right away. So we're really going to be covering two primary arms here, right? We're talking about organic search and we're talking about paid search. We're going to start on the organic side, and let's hand the mic over to Justin Smith, CEO of OuterBox.
Yeah, you got it. And Jason, you're right. When you talk about the trends changing, not only are more and more people and more companies interested in search engine marketing, obviously, because it's important, but they also have more money to put towards it because they've been reallocating budgets. You have a lot of manufacturing companies that aren't going to trade shows. You have all kind of things. So it's kind of a double whammy in that sense, that not only is it more important than ever, but people have more money than ever to put towards it.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
So that's there's a lot of things that are going to happen. So let's talk SEO just from an OuterBox perspective. You know, why is OuterBox such a great agency? What's different about us? So really the big difference in OuterBox is the fact that we work on 150 plus SEO campaigns every month. And the great thing about that is we have all the data. So we know exactly what's working, what we did on websites, and we can look back and see what changes are making positive impacts. We can analyze those results. We know what's working and what isn't working. So that gives us a huge advantage in the market, because when a new client comes to us, it allows us to go back and say, let's look at what someone else did. Let's look at what another client did for the last 3 to 6 months. Okay, they did this, 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 and this. If we do these things for you, you're going to have the same success they did. So it's really, when you're doing SEO, no one knows Google's algorithm, but the goal is to take out as much of the risk as possible and use strategies that are proven. So some of the typical SEO challenges that we see when we talk with clients, whether those are challenges that they've been trying to handle in-house, challenges just because they haven't done it, or challenges with a previous agency, which is very common. One is finding the right keywords. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about coming up with blog post and article topics, because sometimes that can be challenging, especially if you're in certain types of businesses. We're going to talk about optimizing with search intent in mind. As Jason mentioned, search intent is super important right now. How to beat out some major players like Amazon and Target and Walmart, who are just dominating the front page of Google often. Sometimes it feels like you can't beat them. Challenges with outdated websites, link building opportunities, and again, just the challenges of it becoming a more competitive landscape. So finding the right keywords, let's talk about this. Choosing big keywords is great. Everybody thinks about the big keyword. You want to, you sell running shoes. Often people come to us, they say, we want to rank #1 on Google, and someone searches shoes. Great, that would be awesome to rank for that. The reality is it's going to be very tough and take a really long time. So don't lose sight of smaller keywords. When you're building a keyword list, you really need to balance it with very large keywords that might take 2, 3, 4 years to rank for, and then balance that out with smaller keywords that you can get traction on. You can rank for in a matter of 30 days to 6 months. And often these smaller keywords are driving a lot of visits. I know on here, we're talking about on this slide, a keyword that showed 0 search volume. So when you're using search volume tools, A keyword that shows that it's never searched is actually driving 50 to 100 visits a month for a specific client and generating leads and driving sales every month. So sometimes you have to use common sense when you think about keywords. What do you think someone would search if they're looking for your products? Again, some businesses it's super obvious. Some you got to think about it a little more. You have to talk with your sales team. How do people use certain words and phrases? But build lots of landing pages, industry pages, application pages. If you sell a certain type of product, who buys those products? Put your product name for this type of person, and all different kinds of ways. So there's a ton of power in landing pages. You can really never have too many pages on your website. Now that's obviously good content. You can't have too many good pages. Cast a wide net of keyword possibilities. And the way that you beat out some of these big players is by having really targeted content. As an example, if you're a company that sells telescopes online, you'll be able to beat Amazon. You'll be able to beat Walmart, even though they're selling those products, because you become the authority on the topic. You're the big player. If you can provide better content than Amazon provides, which if you know Amazon well, they don't have buying guides. They don't have great articles around those topics. You can beat them. So we're going to get into content and ways to do that. But when you build a great landing page, it's going to convert at a higher rate as well, because when the searcher gets there, they're going to get exactly what they want. They're going to land on a page that speaks specifically to exactly what they searched. So landing pages and building quality landing pages is hugely important. So blog post and article topic ideas, like I just said, the more content you can build, the better. Quality content, because that in Google's mind allows you to become the authority on your topic. Again, Walmart, Amazon, these big players, they are not the authority on any topic. They don't have buying guides. They don't have articles. They don't have all these kind of things. And Google really wants to drive traffic to websites that are authorities on topics and are the big players. The big players as far as quality content. They don't want to just send someone to a website that's just trying to sell them something. That's the reality. They want to send people to a website that it will sell them something, but also inform them. So just some ideas, create buying guides, product guides, how it works, pricing and cost articles. Everybody wants to know, how much does this type of product cost? How much does this type of service cost? So educate people, don't just sell them. And make sure also, just a kind of asterisk, make sure you're linking from one page to the next when you're doing that. If you build a really good quality piece of content and a buying guide, link back to your categories, link back to your product pages from that buying guide. You can go to the next slide, Jeff. All right, so search intent. What does the customer really want when they search that keyword? Now, I'm reading this verbatim because you really need to think that in your head when you're building content. It's not about what you want to show them. It's about what they want to see. So if you have a keyword on your keyword list that you want to rank for, you have to think, what does the person want to see when they search for this? Now, there's two ways to do that. Look at Google, look at the other search engines, search that keyword and see what comes up. A lot of times, if you search big keywords, you're going to find a bunch of sites that are the top 10 best running shoes, the top 10 best telescopes, whatever it is. So if you want to rank for a keyword like that, you might have to build a top 10 page. You want to look and see, are products ranking when someone searches this, or are categories ranking? Google looks at that intent and they say, well, when someone searches a keyword like running shoes, they're going to want to go to a list of the best or to a category that shows 100 different options. They're not going to want to go to a single product page. So it's really important to identify the search intent and then make sure you're optimizing the right types of pages and the right types of content. So you almost want to map that out, have all your keywords in a map, and then say, okay, we're going to build this type of content for this keyword, this type of content to target this keyword, and consider search intent the whole time. That'll really deliver the best user experience to that person that's searching for that keyword, and that's all Google's trying to do, is give people the best experience possible. All right, so outdated websites. This is something we run into quite a bit. Just want to touch on it quickly. If you're sitting there with an outdated website and you're wondering, should I do SEO on this current website or should I rebuild it? Working with an old website can definitely be tough. It can create technical challenges, but it doesn't mean that it can't happen and that it can't work. I would really recommend getting an audit at OuterBox. We can help even do a free audit, a quick audit to just determine, does it make sense to do SEO on your current website or should you rebuild it? Because if you rebuild the website and you're starting with something awesome, it's like a race car. If you start with the Honda Civic and try to turn it into a race car, that's challenging. If you start with a great car, you start with a race car to begin with, you can tune it just a little bit and win the race. So re-platforming and going to a new website that uses the best technology can be a game changer. So you may want to consider that before diving into a campaign. But again, we can help you to determine what's the best course of action. Link building is still super important in 2021. Google uses links as a signal of your authority. The more people linking to your website, the more popular your website is. That's a pretty good indicator that Google might want to serve that up to people. So finding niche links can be tough depending on your business. And really, you want links from sources that are about what your product is. You don't want random links. You don't want to work with overseas link building companies that are driving a bunch of crappy, low quality links. You're going to get hit, especially with Google's algorithm updates. So it's really important to drive high quality links. It's definitely more about quality than it is volume. So, if you have specific industry organizations, if there's industry related websites that you can get links from, bloggers that are specific to your product line, social influencers that have blogs, those are the kind of things you really want to do. You can reach out to them. You can do product reviews. You can offer to write content for their website and do guest blogging. So it's really important to get great links. Now, a quick way to get some pretty decent links is to do a press release as well. If you have a great press idea, you can not only get some really good links from that. Typically, you can insert 5-6 links into a press release, but you may also get picked up and get some actual press. So that's always a good boost. The other thing you can do is review competitors' backlink profiles. There's a lot of tools to do that. We can help you do that. But we can review where your competitors are getting links from and then figure out how we can get those same links to your website. So that's a great thing to do. If they have 1,000 links coming into a page and you have 5, it's going to be hard to beat them. Let's jump to the next slide here.
All right, so this is Jeff jumping back in here, guys. I wanted to talk specifically about lethal performance and really everything that Justin is talking about here, an actual case study of how this can impact your business. Yeah. Lethal Performance here, lethalperformance.com. These guys are a perfect case study for us. They've been a client for more than 2 years now. Started with us in a relatively good position, like Justin said, talking about having an outdated website or a race car. These guys came to us with a race car. They came to us with a good site built on a solid foundation. But they didn't really know how to grow it from there. They knew they had a good foundation, but how do you build upon that foundation? And these numbers do not lie. This is what we've achieved for them over the past 2 years. Over 500% increase in organic revenue, and they were doing pretty good already. 700% increase in keyword rankings. And look at those page one. That chart right there is page 1 keyword rankings. So that's page 1. There's an ongoing joke in SEO. Where's the best place to hide a dead body? That's page 2 of Google. So if you're not on page 1, you do not exist. So that chart is very encouraging to see. Guys, these are the types of results we get for a large variety of our clients. This is just one specific example. We got one more to share with you.
Yeah, this is a total game changer for their business. Both of these companies, and like Jeff said, these are pretty typical results when we can work with an established business that wants to take it to the next level. Or even a new business. But these types of numbers, when people are seeing 100, 200% increase in revenue from organic search, meaning you are not paying for every click. It's in theory free traffic, outside of the work that you do, whether that's in-house or you're paying your agency. You're not paying for every click. I mean, this is life-changing type numbers. Increasing your organic traffic by 400% is going to totally change your business. And we'll talk about paid search and how paid search can totally transform your business as well. But it's really important to be doing both because you don't want to pay for every click if you don't have to. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, really, guys. I mean, the combination of these two strategies, which we're going to get to in a second, this is not a 1 + 1 = 2 scenario. When you do paid search and SEO together, this is very much 1 + 1 = 11. It is a logarithmic increase that Sam's really going to dive into here. We're going to start on the paid search side and then talk about how these two, with their powers combined, can help you guys achieve the results you saw in the previous slides, as well as the results we're seeing for many, many more of our clients. Sam Russell, take it away, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Well, yeah, just like he was saying, there's a lot of synergies between SEO and paid that we will get into, but the next few slides here are mainly speaking to paid search, Bing paid search, Google paid search, but don't forget a lot of these suggestions also apply to paid social or programmatic display, really any other digital ad campaign that you might be running. So we'll jump right in here. In terms of search intent, I know Justin covered this on the SEO side, but it's super critical and crucial to understand the intent of the searcher for paid search as well, not just for quality, but like Justin and Jeff were saying, every click to your site in the paid environment costs your client money, costs you money. So if you don't understand the intent of the searcher, you're essentially wasting money. Plain and simple, it's really that easy. When you look at specific industries, even for e-commerce, not all keywords are relevant. We can jump back really fast, Jeff. In terms of the keyword search and what we're looking at for search intent, not everything is sales driven immediately. So when we're talking about the search terms that are research oriented, others could be comparison based. You really have to look at everything and consider what that intent of the searcher is. Is it a good landing page? Is it a good ad copy? And all of these different elements should be different at each stage. Just to give another example, I know Justin was giving the shoes example, but in terms of like guitars, if I type in what is a cutaway guitar in Google, that search intent is really more information based. They don't really know what they want. So if you drive that traffic to a product page, just like the shoe example Justin gave, it's going to be a bad experience. But if they type in something like Martin cutaway guitars, they want to see a specific variety of guitars from Martin. They don't know what they want yet. So a category page makes more sense. And then, in terms of a very specific search, if someone's looking for Martin GPC Special Koa X, right? Like that's where you want to send them to a product page. So again, it helps you save money. It helps improve the intent of that experience. And at its most basic element, that's what quality score is trying to accomplish. It's trying to link the search to the ad copy to the landing page. But when we're talking about all of that, it's important to really evaluate it through a specific lens because we've been talking about every keyword has different intent. It's important to evaluate each of those things differently. So I don't care if you're using a funnel or a buying cycle chart. Who really cares? If you're looking at different elements of that buying cycle or the research process, each area needs to have its own KPI. So some areas of your campaigns might be looking at brand awareness. Some might be looking at driving sales or improving ROI. Treat each campaign differently is the main point of this slide. I mean, not only, is it setting yourself up for success if you're evaluating a blog differently than you would evaluate maybe a product page or, a category page of some sort, but you're creating yourselves, a chance to use what we like to do, our conversion action sets. So each campaign is driving towards a specific goal. So not every campaign in the entire account has to be, go ahead and buy a product, right? Like some could be information based just to become aware of your brand. Others could be, very oriented in driving that sale. So it's that, some campaigns are geared towards driving brand awareness because, they can't buy from you if they don't know your site exists and they haven't been to the site. So use all those different areas effectively.
Yeah, I think one thing too, Sam, that people often don't think about is they're only driving traffic. They're only driving exact keyword, they're driving keywords to product pages. They think it always has to be to a product, to a category, where you can go long tail just like you can with organic, and you can drive people to informational pages and do those kind of things, and often get conversions from it, and the cost per click can be a lot lower on those.
Exactly. Great point, Justin. And honestly, the best marketers like to use that entire process to their advantage. So if we know they typed in some sort of information-based search, they get to the site, that's when remarketing comes into play. So, if they've been to the site, they know who you are, they sort of trust you as a thought leader. Whenever they are ready to come back and make a purchase, advertising to that individual with related products is going to help drive long tail revenue in the long run. So yeah, great point, Justin. In terms of what we're looking at on this page, test everything. I cannot stress that enough. Any agency out there is going to say, yeah, we're great at testing. We ad copy test all day long. A/B testing ad copy is great. We certainly recommend that. But if that's all you're doing, again, you're not just wasting money, you're also wasting opportunities because every element of your campaign, every element of your site is a chance to test. It's a chance to grow. It's a chance to learn. And, there's a lot of different ways that we can do it. There's a few examples on this page here that you see, but it doesn't just include ad copy. Is it broad match or phrase match or exact match? And Google just changed the rules on that over the last couple of weeks where broad match modified is less important or going away even, and phrase match is becoming more important than ever. So it's testing, phrase match versus exact match. It's testing, should this campaign go after the maximum amount of conversions, or should the bid model be something like maximizing clicks? And again, it's really just figuring out what elements of your campaigns or your site could be tested and running with it. I know, Justin, you've done some A/B tests on the landing pages for our own site, and just changing a button color drastically improves the results, right?
Oh yeah, changing a button color, changing one word, whether that's get a quote or get an estimate. That can be the difference between doubling your leads. And it's the same with e-commerce, changing an add to cart button, changing, a call to action as far as a promotion or how you're displaying a discount code. That can be the difference between, someone going out of business and someone having a successful $1 million company. So it's, you got to test it. And if you don't nail it, believe me, your competitors and these big companies are testing every little tiny thing to maximize every visit.
Exactly. And this is not an exhaustive list by any means. Test everything on this page, absolutely, but also test, 2 headlines versus 3 headlines. Test sending traffic to an SEO optimized landing page and see how that compares to maybe a no index marketing landing page. And like I said, everything's an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to improve your campaigns. But that being said, not everything you try or test is going to work. Not every keyword is going to generate revenue. Not every ad is going to have great click-through rates. Not every product will even hold a competitive advantage. That doesn't just mean on price, but when you go to Google Shopping, you're looking at product features. You're looking at the photography even of the product. You're not going to win every single auction. You're not going to win every single battle with competitors. But as a part of your ongoing testing strategy, it's important to note when you've lost a fight or when a certain variation just really isn't working, and take swift action. That point is actually crucial because it's not necessarily pausing something. It's not necessarily just stopping it altogether, but it's looking and figuring out, why is something not working? What can I change or tweak to make it better? And there are some times when you have to pause a keyword or pause a campaign altogether, as long as the data is telling you that. So again, we love to look at the data that we're given. We love to figure out how we can make it better. And like I said, not everything is going to work out in our favor, but it's the ability to recognize why it's not working and make it better from there. And then the last point here is really just talking about, automation is fantastic. It makes our lives as marketers a lot easier. So absolutely embrace it, but certainly do not rely on it. Over the last decade, there's been hundreds or thousands of improvements to how Google and Bing's algorithms make our lives easier as marketers. One of those changes, going from manual CPC, so telling Google every single keyword, I want to spend exactly this amount for it. That's all well and good. But when automation came out, the smart bidding and all these different features, we now have the ability at the auction level to say increase or decrease a bid based on that person's search behavior or what sites they visited or the intents, like we've been talking about, of their search. And that just gives us so much more, not just tools to work with, the time, right? Like we're using our time more effectively now. Instead of going through and changing thousands of keyword bids every single day, we can focus more on strategy. We can focus more on really changing the parts of the campaigns that do impact the business more than just tweaking a keyword bid here and there. But again, be cautious of how much we're relying on these automated tools. Smart shopping, for example, it works really well, especially compared to the standard shopping campaign. I would say for most of our clients, that's the case. It's not the case for every client. Some clients absolutely need that standard shopping campaign to run more effectively. And there's a lot of reasons why that might be happening, but it's just one example. Dynamic search is another one. So just be cautious of how you're doing with those automation tools and use it to your advantage.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have we had clients come to us and their campaign's just been running and running? They're like, oh, it's doing great. Basically they have it on autopilot, and we come in and save them $30,000 a month all of a sudden. So
exactly,
you're definitely right that it might, even if it seems like it's doing well, Google's still trying to make money. So if you let them automate everything, it's you might be playing into their revenue model a little bit as well.
Exactly, and the opposite's just as true. I mean, if we've certainly seen other accounts run by different agencies where they're making thousands or hundreds of thousands of changes every single month, but they're not the right changes. So it's using automation to your advantage, and it's using, like I said, that time to your advantage. I mean, focus on the right changes to move the needle.
For sure, and Google obviously wants people to be successful in paid search. That's why they keep spending money. So they're only trying to help.
Exactly. And then, in terms of a few of these strategies here, just like on the SEO side, we have some case studies for you. On the Bootstrap Farmer side, they are an online seller of greenhouse kits, greenhouse parts, and really everything you would need from seeds and everything else there. In terms of advertising, we use an evolving mix of search, video, display, and remarketing. I say evolving because, like I said, based on the results, you might want to tweak it, every week or every month as you're going. So that's the current mix right now. But really, by following all of those steps that we've been talking about, not just on the paid side, but on the SEO as well, we're getting 233% increase in revenue or 240% increase in transactions. And one of those shared metrics there that both of those are impacted by is that conversion rate. So that's looking at not just the keywords or the campaigns or the marketing mix, but that's looking at the landing pages, that's looking at the sites and using all of these things we've been talking about effectively. So great results there. And then another example here is University Hospitals, a local hospital system that we work with, not just for paid search, but also paid social. And we're constantly looking at opportunities to increase appointments and at the core roots, helping patients find the information they're looking for, saving lives. And by focusing on areas of the account that's working well, by throttling spend based on that performance, and honestly leveraging various marketing channels and tactics, we're able to get 258% increase in conversions, or improving their cost per conversion by 71%. All these things that we've been talking about really go a long way to moving revenue and, in this specific case, saving lives. But I'll let Justin jump in here with me as well. But the one thing I wanted to say
Yeah, there's so much in how these go, hand in hand. It's just amazing that when you build landing pages, then you can use those landing pages in your paid search campaigns. When you make your landing page better through SEO and through optimization, then you get a better quality score and your cost per click goes down on the paid search side. So it really makes a lot of sense to do both. You can learn a lot of data from paid search that you can apply to your SEO campaign. So it really makes sense to do both. And ideally, you want to be doing it with the same agency so that they can use that data on both sides.
Yeah, and Justin, just to add to that, I would say you mentioned small keywords and big keywords earlier on. Regardless of what strategy you're going with, I do think there's a room and a place for both. SEO is not going to immediately rank for all of those terms at the exact same time. So, understanding which ones you're ranking #1 for and you're ranking 100 for, that informs paid search, and we can figure out where do we need to start the paid search campaign, where do we need to invest money in the first place, and the side to that would be, they're not working in silos, right? Like when people go to Google and they type in a keyword, they're not specifically saying, I want to click a paid ad or I want to click an SEO organic listing. It might take multiple searches or multiple trips to the website before they convert or even get to the website. So we can't look at our strategies within that silo. They all influence each other.
Yeah, and we can really look at what keywords might have a really high cost per click. And if they're really high, well, let's try to rank for that organically. And if this has a really low cost per click, maybe we shouldn't put a ton of time into trying to rank for it organically because we can easily just buy that and it's cheap. So that you really have to weigh those things, and we can help make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And something else to keep in mind that if you don't want to silo one or the other for all those reasons you just said, but also a lot of reliable sources will tell us that upwards of 70 to 80% of users never actually click on ads, right? So that's still a big market share. You don't want to ignore it. You absolutely want to take advantage of the paid search. But a lot of companies are like, well, SEO, I'm not sure I understand that. That's a long-term strategy. I don't know if it's going to pan out. Let's just do paid search because it's something we can control and we can measure a little quicker, right? That's attractive, but that's just putting you in a position long-term to be missing a big portion of the market. And not only that, your bids are continuing to go up. You're not actually gaining any real estate or credibility in Google. And so your advertising budget is going to continue to go up. So you definitely want to do them both together. And that's the biggest thing. So Jeff, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, really, guys, I'm sure, like I said in the beginning, we're throwing a lot at you. So you probably feel a little bit like a deer in headlights right now, and I don't blame you. Or you feel like this little girl and you're drinking from a fire hose. That's okay. That is why OuterBox is here, right? We want to make sure we present a lot of good information for you. We want to make sure you guys had a lot of value out of this presentation. However, getting started is a whole nother ballgame, right? What actually comes next? Like, where do I actually begin? So I'm gonna let Justin and Jason run this. They got some good things run by you here.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll go quick here. I mean, really what it comes down to is, where are your customers looking for information? How can we engage with them? What's the best channel to put you in? What's your budget? What strategy should go with that budget? Those are the things that we try to help you figure out. Where to put the money, how to break it up, where to allocate it, and and then how to measure it and put it back into the right place, put it into the winning channels.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, it's you got to pick, and every market's different. There's no one solution. So you need one strategy to approach the market, but understand and bounce that off of the metrics that we can learn from testing, from working within your markets, and from our experience, maybe even in your current vertical. We may already have experience in that vertical that we can help you with and be able to help you skip some of that trial and error phase. So that's something to keep in mind too. You got to look at these two things hand in hand if you want to take advantage of it. One last thing to keep in mind when it comes to the one strategy model is that we notice a significant increase in click-through rate when somebody is not only advertising, but they're listed organically. And they're not only listed organically, but they're also advertising. So there is something that happens when that user sees you on page one in both locations that increases the conversion rate right off the rip.
Gives you more credibility.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we can do an SEO blueprint for you, an SEO checklist. We can help do a paid search audit. These are all, free things that we can do for you to put together an awesome proposal and make sure we're giving you some actionable items to show you, not only what the cost would be, but of course, what are the different things that you're specifically doing right and wrong right now. The goal is just understanding where you're at and how we can get you to where you want to be. I mean, that's the reality of it. You have to figure out where you're at now and put together a plan to get from A to B. So we'll understand the goals and we'll put that plan together. The checklist is awesome. We built this checklist. It's based on a bunch of different items. I think we have 26 items that we're currently tracking. Just things that we know work. We call them low-hanging fruit. It means it's obvious things you should be doing, obvious things that we know work, and we look at this and see how many of them you're doing. If you're only doing 10 out of 26 or 5, you have a lot of quick room for improvement. Our goal in SEO, while it is a long game, we've helped people increase their traffic and sometimes double their traffic in 30 days before. So that's not to say that happens every time, but if you have a somewhat successful business already, or you're doing well and you're not hitting some of these basic elements, you can make a really big impact quick. So this checklist helps us to determine those low-hanging fruit items.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so with the paid search audit, that's another thing. We can come in there, Sam can take a look. It's a similar kind of thing. We look at the best practices that what we know works on paid search and bounce that off of what you're currently doing to help you identify, are we getting the most for our buck here or not? Or am I leaving money on the table? Sam, do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, just to add that it's always evolving. Whenever Bing announces they're getting rid of manual CPC, or Google's switching over to the responsive search ads instead of expanded text ads, right? Like we're all constantly evolving this, and it's important to move that measuring stick as you're going along to make your marketing campaigns as effective as they can be.
Okay. So finally, if you want to go to the last slide there, we really do encourage you to go ahead and give us a call. Jeff is and his team is here to help you. And in fact, I'll turn it over to him to let him wrap things up.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, guys, we really appreciate everybody being here today. I mean, like we said, we wanted to make sure there was a ton of value in this presentation. I think Justin, Jason, and Sam did an excellent job at that. So thank you guys so much. But, at the end of the day, you're all, still faced with that question, where to begin, right? We hope you gave some good starting points, but really, we'd love to talk. Whether you're a startup, whether you're an established business, whether you just got nailed by an algorithm update, whatever situation you find yourself in, OuterBox is here to help. We got a lot of free tools to help you guys out with. We can schedule a free consultation. And if it ends up being a good fit, we can help you out long term. And if not, at the very least, we can point you in the right direction. So that's really our goal here, guys. We're here as a resource. We're here to help. We hope you got a ton of value out of it. Justin, Jason, and Sam, thank you all so much for all the information you relayed here. I think people got a lot out of it. So